Alright, so today we'll do Power Automate with SharePoint users group. We'll do this in two steps. First, we'll create a new SharePoint user group, right? And then after that, we'll create a flow to fetch the emails from that SharePoint users group. So I created already a test site here on a SharePoint environment. And first thing you'll do is you'll click on the gear icon, and then you'll click on site permissions. After you click on site permissions, you'll have to click on advanced permission settings to create another group beyond the 3 standard groups that come as default when you create a new site in SharePoint Online. So here we see the 3 standard groups, and I'll click here on create group to create another group beyond the standard groups. Here I can call my group, let's say test, and I can say it's test 1, 2, 3. I can just leave everything as standard. I'll just put this group as contribute. I can hit create, and the group is already created there. As default, it puts in the user who created the group within the group. So I put my name in there. I can just hit new, add users, and I can add additional users to this group. Okay, a couple of test users here in this tenant, so I just put here test 1, test 2. I don't need to send emails, right? They're just dummy users, so I can just hit share, and the users are now added to this group. So first thing we're going to do now is to go to Power Automate, and basically we're just going to hit, you can go here, either create here on the left side, or we can go into new flow, and we can already select which type of flow that we want. So since this is just a little test that we want to do, I'm just going to use Instant Cloud Flow for this specific use case, so we can just trigger and run right away. So I want to use a manual trigger, so I don't have to wait, or I don't have to use any other mechanics to run this, and I can just type in the name for my flow. I can just call it group flow, right? And I can just hit create. So now what we want to do is this is in SharePoint. We need to do, and there's no API specifically for doing this type of action. We need to do a manual API execution against SharePoint. So we just hit new step, and we can search in here for a SharePoint connector, and we can just select SharePoint. We'll find a bunch of different SharePoint connectors, and within here I can either search or I can select, right? I can search or select send an HTTP request to SharePoint. And within here, I get a couple of options. For example, site address, I can just select the site that we have, right? I just created this within. So it's called test site. I can just select test site. The method we'll use is get. And we have 2 different options basically to use against, to get the right group information. So for example, I was playing around a little bit earlier before doing the video. And basically I just was calling it test special. I can just remove it here. I can just remove this number here as well. This is basically going to be either the group number, right? Or this is going to be the group name, right? Those are 2 different API calls that we can do to fetch the users, right? So how do we confirm that this is actually going to work, right? So first thing that we do is we can fetch the site URL. Since this is just a plain get command, I can just put this right in the browser, right? So I can put the site, right? And I can put whatever is the API call. So it's underline API website groups, group number, and users, right? So I can just put this as the extension of my URL of the SharePoint site that I have, and I can put in, for example, the group ID, which is the group number, right? So if I put that in here, I will have the URL that will actually bring me the users that are part of that group. By default here in the browser, it will show me as XML, but do not worry, when we get to the flow, it has the standard of bringing back JSON, so we will be able to work with this JSON here from now on. So I've chosen here specifically the number, but for most of the users, this is not good. They prefer the friendly name, so I'll just use the other one instead. Right, so I'll put this here, which is basically the group name, and I can just copy and paste this in the end of the URL, which if I put this here, it will bring me the whole set of users there within this group, right? So if I go back here to what we're doing, it's already showing us example, right? API, what we should do. This is basically the URI that we have to use as the API for what we're doing. So I've chosen this one since this is a friendlier approach, but either one of them is going to give you the same results. I'm just putting this here right now. This will give me what I'm looking for. So once we do this, we're going to receive back a JSON structure of what's within that group, right? So I'm going to put in a new step. I'm going to put in compose. So compose is a great way for you to debug or see what we're retrieving back. So I'm just going to put here within compose, I'm just going to put here the body of what we received within the HTTP request, right? So I can just hit save now. And after saving, I can start running a test here. So I can just click on test. And since this is a manual, I can just do a manual trigger. I can test it right now and I can just run it. It's going to ask me for permissions, right? I need permissions to run against SharePoint. Just going to say it's okay, just run it. Everything's fine. So we started to trigger off this flow for us. I can just hit done. And basically when this executes, it says it ran successfully. There's no errors in this full execution. And when I look into compose, I'm going to start to see what interests me, right? So this is the JSON structure of the data that we want, right? So if I go here and I open up a new instance of this notepad, I can see exactly the structure of data that we want. So I want the emails, right? So the emails is under user principal name, right? So if we start looking for user principal name, we see there's a couple and they're within this structure, right? So this structure is within results. Okay, so results is under D. So basically with this, we can use a structure where we call D and then we call results from this JSON structure, right? We can follow this route, and this route starts off from this part here, right, from the beginning. So if I go back to edit mode and I see what's here, I can see there's a body of this, right? It's just a big name for now, but I can rename this so it's something smaller so we can work with. I like to rename the boxes so we get a friendlier name to work with. So I can say get users, for example, get group users. Okay, this is something friendly. And when I look back here, it's body get group users, right? So I can start doing my expression here following this structure that we just saw. I can say that I want body from get group users, and then I can say that I want that from D, and then within D it's within results subset. Okay, So this here is an array structure, right? It has a couple of different items in here. So how can I iterate through these? So there's a specific control. So we go with control, and we can use apply to each, which works with arrays, right? So if I click here, I cannot use body because body does not have the structure that I want to iterate through. I have to click on expression and I have to use what I just typed in, right? Which is D and results, which is a subset of the get groups JSON structure, the array that we want. Okay, so we just click OK, and it accepted, no errors, so it's there. So I can just do another compose here right now, and if I click on compose, I can also see whatever is in there, right? I cannot type in because it doesn't recognize dynamically what I'm just fetching here from the results. I'm just going to put whatever I get here from the items. I'm just put item. We can just get back whatever we're iterating through right now through the apply to each. So I'm just going to put item and see what we get. So I can just hit save for now. And I can try to run again. I'm just going to put manual run. I can just put run flow. And I can just hit done. And if I go to the apply to each, there's 3 different results, which matches our specific group, right, where we have 3 people. So it's starting to look good. And then we get a JSON structure again. Then they're going to be probably thinking I'm crazy, right? Well, what are you doing now? Another JSON? Well, this is the subset of this one, right? So now we have this structure here, right? So we have one subset here, and now we can just get the user principal name now instead of doing instead of getting the whole thing right now, right? So I can just do item within the item, right? So I can just go edit. I can go here within the item expression, and now I can say, hey, from here I want basically user principal name, right? So if I put the mouse over, it's there, right? User principal name. I can just hit save. And if we hit test, we're going to see what's the result right now, right? So before it was a JSON substructure. Right now, if we do apply to each again, we are getting the email. So if I go next, I see another email, or test 1, and then I see test 2 as well. Okay, so all the 3 emails are here from all the 3 different accounts. Now, so how we make this friendly so we can use this, for example, on the send email situation? Well, we can use the variable, right? So we can do add an action, initialize var, which is going to become initialized variable, and we can say here's the emails. I can put string, and within here I can just append to the string, right? So I can just put add an action, append var, append to string variable. And I can just say this is the emails. And within here, I can put exactly what was here, right? Item. And I can just put a semicolon. So emails to append next to each other, they like the semicolon. So I can just here delete. I don't need this anymore. I don't need compose anymore since I'm building out the variable. And within this compose, I can put the emails to see if it was well structured after all. Okay, so iterated through all the 3, if we got that right output that we want. So I can just put manually execute this, and then I can just put run flow. I can say I'm done. And now if I look here through the iteration, I'll see that it always added with a semicolon, and this is perfect for the send email situation, right? If we see here the last output, the compose after iterated through all 3, it's showing here, the first email, second email, and the third email, right? All in here. So from here on, the next step here would be to use these emails within the send email situation, right? So you can just use the send email, and you can just use those emails in here, right? It's all up to you. I'm not even going to get into that. I just wanted to show you that's always, possible to get these emails, and now you can use them as you want, as you wish, and you can leverage this by sending emails, or you can do another set of actions based upon your needs here. So you have all you want here. Make good use of these user groups now and have fun with your Power Automate adventures.